Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at jonnydelsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Boom, baby. You all right there, Johnny?
Yeah. I remembered I had my AC sitting on here, and it gets really loud in the background. So
yes. Have a clean show, Johnny.
Yeah.
Welcome into a Friday on the Johnny Dell Academy podcast. We have philosophies to go over. We have film to go over. We have all kinds of things to go over. Tracy, very nice of you to welcome me back. I did have a work thing on Monday. I missed all of you immensely. So first, real quick, before we get into everything, you know how people have like an appreciation post for their spouse? I feel like we need an appreciation segment for a one Kyle Juszczyk. He was just yesterday, right? Within the last 48 hours,
days ago,
whatever it is. Yeah. Announced the Dwight Clark, and you look at the previous winners of like Dre Greenlaw and Demo and I think Kittle, like, man, good list to be on. We love Juice. We felt weird when he was like let go and then brought back, and just the intangibles that he brings, and he's an awesome teammate. I love what his wife does with clothes. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, the Juszczyk family, just shout out. Johnny, take it away.
Well, yeah, I mean, not much to say, more to say about Kyle Juszczyk. I think he's been a consummate pro. I think he is absolutely part of the 49ers culture. And despite what some people arguing that he shouldn't be getting paid or shouldn't be getting snaps, he has still been a very effective contributor and is a huge part of what the 49ers do. I mean, just imagine where this team would be during that stretch that George Kittle was out without Kyle Juszczyk. So big props to him. He's been a consummate pro. And I think in the end, he's going to go down as one of the greatest 49ers fullbacks of all time. And one of the greatest in the history of the NFL. I mean, you look at the guy has so many Pro Bowls and not a lot of all pros, because they don't really give all pros for fullbacks, which is a shame. But almost certainly going to be a Hall of Famer by the time his career's done. Could be now, may not be a first ballot because they don't really put fullbacks in there. Yeah. But he's just a class act, a guy who is playing a position that doesn't get a lot of recognition. He probably could have been a tight end in the NFL. He could have been a number of things, but he's been a fullback and has done everything that he's been asked to do. And just glad he's on our team.
And he enjoys it. I think he enjoys doing the position that he does. He loves being a part of the team and knows that he's an intricate part, and that's kind of fun to do, like a Wes Welker or that kind of thing. He embodies that. So, all right. I know, dude, we talked before the show. We have a ton to get into. So, I know you want to get into a little bit of really how the 49ers, how they think about the offensive line and how they take in information and what their philosophy is on things. Let's get into that.
Yeah, so there's always been some confusion and frustration, and what are they doing? And the 49ers just don't value offensive line. We hear that every single draft, it seems like. And I think there's there's an element of what the 49ers look for is more specific than some teams. I think a lot of times, generally, very few people understand how to evaluate offensive linemen coming out of college. You have a lot of system turnover in the NFL, and that really contributes to a lot of it. You have a lot of guys who were playing in a system they were not drafted for, and there's a lot of system turnover. And so you have things where one of the reasons I think you're seeing such a struggle of quality offensive line play around the NFL. This is not a 49ers problem. This is an NFL problem, that you have guys who are trying to be asked to do things that they were not drafted for, and they're locked into big contracts. And so people are it's hard to evaluate exactly what each team is asking their offensive line to do in the details of steps, footwork, hand placement, all that stuff. And so when it comes to draft time, everybody's just like, well, let's just go for the guys who had the best production of what we can see. And people are just kind of throwing things at a wall. And so you get offensive linemen are kind of drafted all over the board, because it feels like very few people have a systemic understanding of what they want their offensive line to do. And right or wrong, the 49ers have said, we value guys who have the ball in their hands above everybody else, because those are guys who can take a 5-yard play and turn them into a 70-yard play. And those, when you look at some of the things with the Seahawks, I didn't include one in this clip, but there was a play. We ran a play action. It was our slide concept that we always do. It was against Seattle. And I remember we had Juwan Jennings coming across, and he gets hit by the defensive end. He should have cleared the formation sooner, but he's Juwan Jennings. He runs a 4.7. He gets slowed down a little bit there. Brock Purdy gets the ball into his hands. He's got an angle on all of Seattle's defense. Like I paused it at the moment he caught the ball, because I was sitting there thinking, I remember watching the same rep when we showed it from Dejon Stribling and thinking, if that's Dejon Stribling that gets the ball in his hands, he's probably got a 50-yard play. It was a 1-yard loss or a 1-yard play, somewhere around there. He was tackled almost by the time he got back to the line of scrimmage, because Tariq Woolen ran him down from behind, because he's Juwan Jennings and he doesn't have a lot of speed. And so if you're the 49ers, are you looking at that game and saying, okay, the issue was just that we could not handle their defensive line? You're saying, no, we had the counter to what they were doing with their defensive line to stop our run game, but our speediest receiver out there in this moment, because Ricky Pearsall was banged up at that time, is week 18, was Juwan Jennings. And that was the production. Like, it's there. That's why they value guys who can do those things really high, is because you can set this up and get that guy in that position, and now you have an explosive play, and that changes the game. These things do change the game. And they look at offensive line and say, the traits that we're looking for, we think we can find in certain areas, and we're okay with that because we have gotten good enough from our offensive line. And really, it comes down to, are you mentally sharp? Are you mentally on your technique? Because the other part is, I remember there was a conversation Mark Schlereth had a debate with a bunch of fans, and he said offensive line is the hardest position to play in football. And people were coming out, no, linebacker's tougher, safety's tougher, corner's tougher, quarterback's tougher. And he said, I play the only position that I will always be at an athletic disadvantage to the person across from me, and I'm expected to win 100% of the time. It's the only position where there's that expectation. Because if you look at the best athletes, just raw athletes on a football field, they're on the defensive line. We looked at Romello Height, and we looked at Grayson Halton's tape. These are bang A+ athletes. You look at guys like Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is an insane athlete. Trent Williams may go down as the most athletic offensive lineman that has ever played the game, and he is not the athlete that Aaron Donald was. Right?
Yeah.
And you just look at it from there. So even if you take the best, most athletic offensive lineman that you have, there is a defensive lineman who will still be more athletic than that guy. And he's expected to beat Aaron Donald 100% of the time. So there just comes a point where you say, okay, trying to get the most athletic offensive lineman is still a losing prospect, because you take the Eagles offensive line, right? When they won the Super Bowl, you put that offensive line against their defensive line that just dominated Kansas City, and you say, who's more athletic, who's stronger? Their defensive line was more athletic. It was more stronger. Like, Jalen Carter is a much better athlete than Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson might be the best guard in football, but Jalen Carter is the better athlete. So if we're saying we're going to out athlete, out strong, out everything with the offensive line, it's not going to happen. It doesn't exist. So they say you can't do that. So what do you use to your advantage? And it goes back to Oso Odigizua was on Richard Sherman's podcast recently, and he talked about this. He said it doesn't matter if you're the biggest, meanest, strongest guy out there. If you become predictable, then it won't matter, because the offense is going to get there before you can get there. And that is the key to what the 49ers approach to everything is. They don't ever want to have a defensive lineman knowing what they are going to do or what they are doing mid-play. They want everything to look the same. They want everything to feel the same for the defensive lineman. They want that defensive lineman, whether it's wide zone, whether it's inside zone, whether it's gap, to all feel the same, and to get the defensive lineman to play those exactly the same. Then they can counter with everything. They get leverage, they get angles, they get buying time for the quarterback in the way they do everything, so that they are not asking their offensive lineman, be bigger, be stronger, be more athletic than the guy across from you. That is their approach in everything. And they say, we do that, and we have these really A-plus athletes that we can get the ball in their hands, and they can do some special things with it. Then we're just asking you to get that part, and the whole thing works. And people will say, well, that philosophy, it only works so far, and there's this and there's that. Okay, I understand all that. If you look at over the last 7 years in the NFL, nobody has had more top 10 offenses than Kyle Shanahan. Nobody. Not Andy Reid, not Sean McVay, not anybody that is out there, not Ben Johnson. Shanahan has had a top 10 offense in 6 of the last 7 years. Nobody has done that. Andy Reid has 5. And we think of Andy Reid as the offensive genius, right? And that he's so far above Kyle Shanahan, and that he's got Patrick Mahomes and he's got all this stuff. The only year Kyle Shanahan didn't have a top 10 offense was 2020, when the entire offense was injured. Like, it was literally the worst injury season the NFL maybe has ever seen that the 49ers had that year. It was so bad. So, like, when you see these, when we say these things, like, I understand some of the criticisms, but as they say, the proof is in the pudding, is that he has still had more offensive success than any other coach in the NFL. And so you can point at Sean McVay and say, McVay does all this stuff. Sean McVay's had 4 top 10 offenses in the last 7 years. Kyle Shanahan has had 6. So we're going to go to this. We're going to go to some insult tape. This is going back a little bit. You can see who's our quarterback there, old Jimmy G. We're going to talk about wide zone. What do they look for in wide zone? And this is a really good example, because the ball is on the line. And so I get to talk about footwork here. I get to talk about angles. What they want, they actually run spring drills on this, where they will put the ball on a line like this, and they have their linemen line up. Like, if they're center, they're on the line. If they're a guard or a tackle, they want them 1 yard back off the line, and they film it and work through that. You have to take 2 steps before you hit this line. So you have to have quick feet. They want stab steps with a solid foundation, with a good base, with good knee bend. They work on this. They're working on this right now in spring drills. So this is what Chris Forster is working on with his offensive line. What they want to do is they want all the uncovered, the guys that are going to be covered, that are going to go get somebody, they're going to have to block somebody. They want them running off at an angle here, because the aiming point here for this running back on a wide zone from gun is going to be the outside leg of the tackle. So tackle out here. Okay. So that's the aiming point of this run. Normally, if this run is under center, the aiming point is the outside leg of the tight end. But because you've moved over one spot, now it's the outside leg of the tackle. So that's your aiming point. So when you see this, you're going to see everybody takes off and runs at this exact same angle. They want everybody moving together. And what they want to do is they're going to say, okay, this is Chris Jones. So I got Aaron Banks here. What he needs to do is, we don't know if Chris Jones is going to just slam across this way. So Aaron Banks, I want you to take a little bit more of a vertical track than Trent Williams. Trent Williams, you need to get your hat across to his number. You want to strike the opposite number. Aaron Banks, you're going to take this a little bit more of a vertical angle, but give a little hand back here. If you can two-hand it, great. If you can't, don't let it slow you down. Your number one job is to get to the second level. Jake Brendel, they're going to try and get you across your hat over to this guy's side. You're going to get to the second level. We're going to kick out, work this combo, and then work to the second level. Okay, so McGlinchey, he's going to take this same track that the running back takes, and if there's any color that flashes inside of George Kittle, he's going to help, and then he's going to go get to the second level. And so we're going to see this work out here. This is beautiful. This is exactly how they want this play to look for the 49ers. So let's see this in a little bit slow. So you can see great steps here. They're all getting their second steps in there. They want Brendel's head a little bit more on the other side. They want this guy to come out a little bit flatter, but he's going to help. This is Brunskill. You can see McGlinchey, his track, and Jeff Wilson's track are exactly the same. That is what they're looking for from their offensive linemen, is you take off and you go. I don't know why this film is like blanking, giving me a blank screen right there, but here we'll see it really good. Boom. Now there's a little bit of a false step there from Aaron Banks. They wanted to work on him with that. It improved by the second year, but step, you see all these guys are still stepping on this side of the line in their first two steps. Bang, bang. You're coming at this angle. You're coming at this angle. You're coming at this angle. Everybody's running at the same angle. They take off and run. That's what they do that is different. So for this guy, he doesn't know. That's Chris Jones. He doesn't know, is this wide zone? Is this inside zone? He doesn't know. He's going to play it like it's wide zone because they generally run 2 times as many wide zones as they run anything else. And that's to put it on tape, to show film on these guys so that every team that plays them has to prep wide zone every single day in practice. And what they're going to rep for is, if this helmet is on your side, they're coming wide zone, you run down this line. That's what they want defenses telling their defensive linemen. And so they're going to get this. They're working this out. You see McGlinchey has kicked this out. He's taking the track. Then he's going to go get to the second level. You have this working. Again, they want that hat a little bit more on the other side because they want this defensive lineman. They want this guy to say, I need to chase down this way, that this offensive lineman is trying to cut me off and I need to run down the line. Because they say, if this guy is trying to run laterally, he cannot push you vertically. You can't do both at the same time. And when you're coming at an angle, that gives them leverage to do this. That is a positive blocking angle for them. So you don't have to be the strongest, most athletic guy. You can be a Jake Brendel and you can move that guy off the ball. You got Banks is working up to the second level. This is a really good job working this by both Banks and Trent Williams. So let's watch these guys on the backside. Really good arm. Okay, there. Trent right over, heads on the other side. Single arm help. He's going to get to the second level. Love that. Here's, see the combo is that Kittle's working this out. There's color that flashes inside. So McGlinchey's going to bang him outside. Bang. There it is. Widen that out. Now, what is the problem on this play for the 49ers? The problem on this play is Jeff Wilson. They're going to look at this and say, you have got to press this hole. They don't do a 3-step read, 5-step read. That was Alex Gibbs, who had the wide zone with Shanahan back in the day. He used to be 3rd step was your read step, 5th step was your cut step, and you got to stay on time. Forster doesn't do that. Kyle Shanahan doesn't do that. They want to press this hole until something takes you out. So do not ever cut this thing back up inside if this has not been taken away. You press that gap, and again, it's going to be right through here until that gap is taken away. You ride it as long as you can. So, because what do they want? They want these guys flowing. They want a safety coming over here. They want this linebacker climbing over the top because they want this tracked right through here. Jeff Wilson should be tracking this right through here this whole way. And he's already cutting it up. Why? Because he sees this. He sees this looks big and juicy, but he should be coming up through here.
That's also juicy.
It is. But he saw some color flash. because you should, if he stays on this track, you're going to keep this corner out here. McGlinchey's going to be able to go get him. You're going to go get this guy. You're going to get this guy is trying to run over the top. And what's Aaron Banks doing? He's trying to get his head on the outside shoulder of this linebacker so he can cut him off. And if he can't, then this guy runs way over the top, and then you're going to have the cutback. The safety, he's trying, this is Reed, he's trying to recover and then come back. If you press this hole, you may get this guy over there and you may just pop this thing through here. It's hard to tell for sure, but I can tell you, Chris Forrester and the offense, they're going to say, you should not be anywhere close to cutting this back right now. You should be pressing this hole until something takes you out of this hole. And they still get 8 yards on this. But they're going to be absolutely fired up and say, the offensive line did everything they were supposed to do, the way they were supposed to do it. The running back cut that up way too soon. Way too soon. Okay, so now we're going to look. This is Jordan Mason and this group running this wide zone. Really good wide zone here. So what do you like about it? Same thing. You're going to have this backside combo here. Work to the second level. Going to get Brendel's got to come over on the other side. Brunskill's got to get to the other side of 94 here, get his hat over. They're going to work one hand, second level, then work this. Okay. So let's watch this out. So same thing. What do you see on here? Angles, running at the exact same angle as the running back. So these guys have got to be able to get out, get on their horse, get out and run. That looks like the 49ers running from side to side, running, moving people, playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. What makes this play so great? Man. One, you got Trent Williams making a great cutback here. So you're getting this coming across, running. You're able to get there, cut it off, get to the second level. You got these guys. Same thing. Guys trying to hold them. This defensive tackle right here, he cannot see the ball carrier, can he? He has no idea where the ball carrier is. He is purely reading the blocks of his offensive line, of the offensive lineman. He's saying, okay, this is wide zone. I'm going to run this way. So what do? They get this guy dug out 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he has no idea where the ball carrier is. That is what they want from their offensive line. So McGlinchey's got to take a little bit more vertical because they're going to say, okay, you're covered up on this guy. We want you to come through his outside armpit and work out here. So his angle is a little bit flat, a little bit more vertical, but everybody else is running off the ball at the same angle as everybody else. So there it is. You see angle, come through the armpit, angle. Everybody same angle as Jordan Mason. That's quick feet. Again, the ball is on the same thing. You see the steps are happening on that side of the line. So there it is. You get it. This is a really good job by Jordan Mason. Press the gap, press it. And now you see how this forces everything in here, right? Everything comes across. Everything's running on it. So now you have something's taking you out of the hole. You put your foot in the ground, you get vertical, and there you go. And now you get the play pops. That's what they want with this wide zone. Run vertical, run on your angles, get moving. We're going to get out there and get guys. Okay, this is a wide zone as well. It looks like a pin and pull because they're going to crack down with Ayuk on this and then lead Kyle Juszczyk up on the corner. This is just an exchange. For everybody else, this is wide zone. This is just wide zone. Everything that we just saw. The only difference is you get better angles on this and this. And because they're going to toss this, they're going to say, okay, you guys need to really work out here with some urgency because this is going to go outside. We're not cutting this one back up in. So, but other than that, this looks like wide zone, right? This is wide zone running the whole way. So you can see what are the 49ers value is guys to move out here on angles and go get this at the second level. So you have everybody, man, this is awesome. When you see that come out and get to the second level like that, they fire out like that. That is what hits these plays for big gains. This is Mexico City, I believe.
Yeah, Mexico
City game, 2022.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a fun one. So again, look at the angles. They're coming off the angle, 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 angle. This is 49ers wide zone. You have the uncovered guys firing out here, cut you off, work little hand. Don't let it slow you down because we're not as much worried about this guy. We're going to say, get out here, give a little help, and then get vertical and cut this guy off. So that's what happens. This is what the traits that they look for interior offensive linemen. Can you move at an angle, get vertical, pick that guy up? Trent Williams getting on Buda Baker. That's awesome. And there you go. You have created a bunch of green grass for your running back, and now you have explosive gains in the run game. Okay, so now you've seen these wide zones. Now you're going to see some split zone. And what Forster's going to say is this is a decent play. This is a decent run. You're going to see that, McCaffrey gets a good gain here. This is a good gain. He was I saw his own breakdown of this play. He was fired up at his offensive line. Like, this is not how we want this to look. He's going to say, basically says we got a good gain. Despite what our guys do, because this is going to be split zone now. So they're going to run an inside zone. So this now has a target line of the inside leg of this guard, and they're going to work from there back. And they want everything here to still look the same. This is where they start changing from other teams. Other teams are going to say, a lot of other teams are going to say, okay, we're trying to wash this down. So what we want is we want Banks, you put your head on this guy's inside shoulder where you have a position on him and wash him down. Trent, you get in on this guy's shoulder and you wash him down. You, Burford, you get on this guy's inside shoulder and you wash him down. That's what other teams are going to say. The 49ers say, no. We want all of this to look the same. So you get your head on the other side of his arm, his pad, get your head on the other side, make these guys feel like this is wide zone, and they will take themselves out of the play. That's what the 49ers philosophy is. So they're saying you don't need to get in here and work these guys down, because watch Burford here. He's going to fire off, and he's going to play this like you would think, okay, he's gone vertical, his head's on the wrong side. So what that tells this guy is this is inside zone. I'm working across the formation. And that's what you see this defensive lineman does. He's trying to get back across. He presses and he reads. They don't want him doing that. They want him, that's Aaron Donald, they want him driving this way off the ball. Let him take himself out of the play. Here, Aaron Banks and Brendel, he probably ripped Brendel on this. Brendel, you should not be firing vertical on this. You should be firing out. Because what they want this to do is they want this, when you take off, this guy's going to think wide zone and he's going to take himself that direction. So that's what they want. This is far too vertical. They need to get going. They need to get going. Trent, he does a good job on this backside. You can see he's selling this as wide zone. The thing that makes this play is George Kittle makes a really great block, and Ray McLeod gets a really good block here. And then Christian McCaffrey makes an incredible cut.
Yeah. Whoop, right by him.
But if you look at how these defensive linemen play this guy is not running down like we saw, right? We saw on the previous plays, those guys are running down the line. This guy knows that's inside zone. So now he's going to try and anchor and work his way back. Okay. That's what they don't want. And so, yes, this is a big play, but he's looking at his offensive lineman saying, you didn't execute this the way that we're supposed to. Okay. Here's another inside zone. This is against the Chiefs. This is how it should look like. It's not as big of a play because they get a little goober here on the kickout block. But as far as the offensive line, this is what they want from their offensive line. This is how it should look. This was the first play of the game against the Chiefs in 2022. So here's where you see everything now. Look at their firing angles. This is the same play. Look at their firing angles. Burford is coming out much more horizontal than you saw Brendel. And you're seeing Brendel come out much more horizontal. Banks, horizontal. They're coming on these angles. They're wanting the defensive line. Look at what the defensive line is doing. They're moving down. Everybody's moving down because they're thinking this is wide zone. You're a wide zone team. You run it a lot. you make this fire out look at how fast that linebacker's taken off. Okay? Because he's reading this offensive line and he's saying that's wide zone, wide zone. So you're having these guys work wide zone, and that creates a big gap here. The difference was you had this guy play it differently. You don't get as good of a clear out on him, but you created a lot of space. And this is also Jeff Wilson. It's not Christian McCaffrey. And so he doesn't get the same kind of yardage, but you can see they want it to look the same. Okay, now we're going to have gap scheme. They want their gap scheme to look exactly the same. They want these guys to fire out at angles to make this look like, if you look at these back 4 guys, just watch these 4 guys, this looks like wide zone, right? The angles they take off, the angle they fire out looks like wide zone. So these 2 guys think it's wide zone. They're going to move this way. You're going to get them worked down. You're going to kick out. You're going to pull and then lead up in the hole. This makes it really hard for linebackers who are watching these 2 guys. And they're saying, this is wide zone. I've got to work here and be patient and sit in this hole. And so you bang. These guys have worked their way out. They've worked their way out of these holes.
You played yourself.
You played yourself. And then, and again, there's so much misdirection that happens here. So you get Brandon Ayuk is going to come down like he's going to block Scott here. And that makes him think maybe this play's coming outside. And so he takes himself out of the play.
Yeah.
So watch Scott. He's in the hole, but he feels Brandon Ayuk coming down on him. And he says, no. And so he turns and he bangs out here, knocks himself out of the play. And you get this coming because this guy worked his way down. This guy worked his way down. You created the angles, and now you get a gap run. It opens up, and you get Christian McCaffrey finish the run. Great run, sets you up in the deep red zone. That is a primer. So that's a primer of what the 49ers do in their run game. Why they do things the way they do, why they're going to look for certain traits the way they look for. They want everything to look the same. They want every play to look the same. They want their wide zone to look like their inside zone, to look like their gap schemes, to look like their play action passes. They want it all to look the same. And so they're not asking guys to be maulers and move you out of the way. They're asking guys to be able to execute the footwork, the hand placement, the head placement, the be able to move on the time they want it. So that's a little primer.
Yeah, I love seeing that. The chat points out, oh, this guy's messing up. You can see it plain as day when church is in session and Johnny's on the Madden telestrator, right, drawing up everything. You love it. All right, so now we're gonna get to certain teams. Yeah.
So here we go. So here let's look at this team. This is really good execution of things. So we're gonna look at the takeoff angles. Watch the takeoff angles here. That's what we're looking for. Boom, fantastic. Say everybody's running on the line. Everybody's running on the line. They're running with McCaffrey. You get great angles that are happening here. McCaffrey's pressing the hole until something takes him out of it. And then he's going to cut this up, stick his foot in the ground. Or no, he saw that it was open. So he sees that it's open, gets patient. Man, drives, gets great movement here. Okay, what are we looking for? We're looking for where's the head placement on these. Boom, Burford, targeting point, other side of the helmet. Pooney, targeting point, other side of the helmet. We're going to kick out. We're going to work. We're going to wash this down. And then Brendel's going to climb. Man, that's how it's supposed to look. Really great job there. Really great execution of that. Right here, same thing, left side. Man, now you see, okay, this is where defense is going to play a little bit different. Okay, but same thing. Look at Brendel's targeting angle. It's better than it was in the tape we showed, right? That tells you Chris Forster was hammering him on those things. So he's hammering him. Dominic Pooney, he's got a one arm help, but go get the second level. On the backside, they prioritize. If you can go get this guy, go get him. On the front side, they prioritize the line of scrimmage. On the backside, they prioritize second level. So they don't worry about these guys as much as they worry about the linebackers. They don't worry about this linebacker as much as they worry about the defensive lineman. So they're going to fire out here at their angles, kick out here. So McCaffrey's already sees, okay, I know this is taken away, so I'm not going to press it there. So now I'm going to press. And you read it out. He sees, okay, here it's coming up. So I'm going to stick my foot in the ground and work vertical on this. And there it is. Man, that's the thing of beauty. And this is the biggest run that McCaffrey had all season. Excellent execution by the offensive line. Excellent execution by the offensive line. They ran this play exactly as they should. Here's another one. Okay, same thing. Look at the takeoff angles. Look at the targeting points. Takeoff angles are there. You're coming down. You're washing this. Now you're going to have split flow. So that means you're going to bring a guy across to kick out the end man. The same thing, pressing the hole. It's taken away. You have flow. Okay, look at these defensive tackles. These two guys right here. They do not know where this play is going. They have no vision on the running back. Their eyes are facing to the right. They are simply reading these blocks and running down the line. That's what they want, because if you can get guys to do that, we can run anything we want on them. And now you clear it out. You get a great cutback. You press the hole. You cut it up in there. You get the play. Okay. Why do you do all that? Because now you tie it into your play action game. So these guys, this looks like your wide zone. Everybody's firing at an angle. So what do these defensive linemen do? They fire down the line. So now they have taken themselves out of the play.
Look at that pocket. Look at the pocket.
Okay. So now, when you say, we just need really, really good pass protectors, this is why they turn around and say, no, we got to be able to run the ball. Because you get that kind of a pocket when you can run the ball. And you get those linemen moving themselves away from the launch point because you have moved that. Okay. So now let's get into the Seahawks. Okay. Why do we have some problems here? I don't know exactly why technique just completely went out the can when you're playing the Seahawks. This is your 1 week to the next, but they're going to be running a counter. But like I've said, they want these guys to look exactly like wide zone, right? They want this to look exactly the same. And it does here. Brendel starts to look that way. Burford, no. He says, I'm going to go vertical. Maybe it's because that guy and who that dude is, but he fires vertical. At the moment this happens, Burford is vertical and that guy comes down. Now you have a defensive tackle who says, I know this is coming right through here. He's not going to take himself out of the play. He's going to work to this side. And this is exactly what happens. They try and get a combo on him, but Burford can't handle him. And so now you're saying, Burford, you have to be more athletic than that guy. And you're not more athletic than that guy. And that guy works into the hole and he disrupts the play. So you have the ability to get up on guys. You have a way to get a gap through here. If McCaffrey can get through here, he's able to get one-on-one with this safety. But he can't because you got a guy who has been reading out that that the offensive line didn't run this the way that it should have been, and he tipped the play. And so if you're Chris Forrester, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you're going to look at that play and say, well, that's a problem that we had of tipping the play. That wasn't that, like they're not saying it's just because we can't do this.
Yeah.
And we can't run the ball now. And now we have to throw the ball on second and long. And now you're asking your guys to be better athletes than them. And so here you're going to have another play. Now this is on the running back. Same thing that we saw is Brian Robinson just did not fit this scheme. So they're taking off on good angles. You're getting across. This linebacker's coming down. You're pressing. This is now saying you are pressing this gap, but this gap is closed. So what did we see with Christian McCaffrey when he was running against the Bears? This play, he stuck his foot in the ground and he got vertical because you're getting all these guys are flowing. This is what you want to see if you're the offense. You're saying, okay, these guys are flowing. It should be there. There should be a nice, juicy cutback right through here. There should be a nice, juicy one. You got color flashing on the other side. So these guys are running the way they are. You should be running up through here. You should be having a big, nasty gain against these Seahawks. But you get like a 6-yard gain. It's not good enough. When you have creases that open for explosives, you got to hit them. You got to take them. Here's my first page of notes. All right. So now you're coming out wide zone again. Okay, we're running this like we saw. You have an exchange sometimes. This is now just Juwan Jennings playing the Kyle Juszczyk role. Okay, so Demarcus Robinson, he's got to come up here, get Nick Eamon-Worry. Juwan Jennings is going to kick out the corner. This is wide zone. Okay. Same thing. Wide zone. You're firing out. This looks like the play in Mexico City, right? Now, Christian McCaffrey, he wants to press this a little bit harder. He's going to cut back in, but he says, I can't because this guy's coming through unblocked. Why? Because Demarcus Robinson picked up the corner. Juwan Jennings is trying to pick up the corner. Nobody picks up Nick Eamon-Warry. And everyone says, oh, man, Eamon-Warry is such a weapon. He's such a defensive player. This is crazy. They just don't have an answer for him. Yes, they do. Watch at the end of this play. Demarcus Robinson starts getting yelled at from the sideline. See? He turns and he's like, what? Watch George Kittle on this play. What are you doing? That's your man. Get up in there.
Wow.
So that's not an offensive line problem. That's not your offensive line. See, this looks like 49ers wide zone. You're loving this. You're saying if we get a guy up on here and starts cracking on him, this guy will take himself out of the play. Because if he, just like we saw with Scott, right? When the wide receiver came down on him, he starts attacking that block. You get a block coming up on him. He's going to take himself out of the play. You'll be able to press, force this guy out longer, and you're going to be able to cut up in here and get a hole. McCaffrey already knows I can't come through this hole. That's why he starts cutting down here. So you have completely disrupted the whole thing. That's a wide receiver issue there, not an offensive line issue. So you're seeing issues compounding. You got a running back not making his holes. You got a guard not taking the right angle. You got a wide receiver not blocking right. Now you're going to have similar thing. Okay, we should have a good gain here. You got Austin Pleasance coming in here, not Trent Williams, but this is going to be an inside zone. Burford, your head should be on the other side. These guys are working. They're doing what they should do. But Austin Pleasance, you got to, you get this guy coming across. You shouldn't be trying to wash this guy down. You only do this if color flashes, like we talked about with McGlinchey, color flashes on your side. Okay, this guy is taken off. You fired out too low. You don't keep your balance. That's why they work these. Look at the other guys. Their heads aren't down as much. Their knee bend is a little bit better. But he's saying, this is a dude I got to move off the ball, so I'm going to fire off here. That's not the 49ers way. Okay, you've got to keep your balance, then go get Ernest Jones. You should shoot this ball right through this gap. Okay, you've got a way to account here. You've washed down. You just got to get on that guy. 49ers are going to look at that and say that's a technique issue. That's not an issue of, just our offensive line wasn't good enough. Okay. So now this is a pin and pull. This should just boil everybody's brains out. That this sets up the failed fourth down conversion against the Seahawks in the playoffs. We're going to pin and pull here. So we're going to have this and pull out here. Same philosophy, same principles. You press the outside until something takes you out of it. What does the corner do? He sees this coming. He sees a tackle, so he flies inside. Robinson, you should be pressing this thing outside until something takes you out of it. He doesn't. You got this outside free for a first down. This changes the whole game because you go from here, then you try and run an inside, you get stuffed. You try and run a fourth down, you lose the fourth down conversion. You'd already given up a kick return for a touchdown. You give up a touchdown after this, then Jake Ton just fumbles the next series. You're down 21-0 in the blink of an eye against a team that has had 13 days rest. You've had 6 days rest. So that's where things fall apart. But that's a primer. I told you there's a lot to get through. That's a primer for Carver Willis. Okay, so now we see what the offensive line, what some of these issues are in the run game. That you need guys who can move, guys who can be coachable, guys who can play with good technique. That's what they need. That's why they value it, and that's why they're going to look at this tape and say, we don't just need to go get some nasty, massive hosses on the offensive line who are just going to move people. Because they're going to say, we had so many execution errors there. We need guys who can execute at a high level at all times. So that leads us to Carver Willis, fourth round pick.
Carver Willis, yes. I'm excited to see what the fit can be and if you think he'll be a tackle or a guard. I want to see through the film.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. We're first thing about Carver Willis. No, that's the right one. Okay. He can get
Page
out
2 on
move.
the notes. Page 2 on the notes.
Yeah, I'm on page 2 of 5. So buckle in up, folks. So he can get out and move. He has great movement skills. We saw with the T-shape on the 49ers that they've got to get out and move. So here you're going to run a little tunnel screen. So he's going to come out here. They're going to run a little screen to the wide receiver and watch him get out and move. Here he is, left tackle. Whew, look at him run. Get out there. Get up on a block. Can you get out, move in space, and get up on a block? All right, here he is, number 50. Get it and go. Go run, go find somebody, go find work, go block in space. All right, here he is. He's going to be on a pin and pull, so they're going to crack on this, and he's going to pull out here on this corner. This corner hates life, I'm just going to tell you.
God. That corner's like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Here he is. Bang.
Ugh.
This kid plays with an edge. I like this kid a lot. Here you're going to see they're going to fake an inside play and then toss it. Toss on the outside. Look at him go. Look at him go. Block in space. Get up on that linebacker. Can you block in space? Can you move here? He's got to pull and kick out. This is going to be on like a wildcat sort of run. This play doesn't go for much, but it's not on him. Look at him. Ugh, plant the guy. Here he is. This is him. Block. Get a little help. Block. Oh, love it. I love seeing pancake blocks. Here you're going to see again pin and pull on a sweep. So he's going to pull. Oh, no, this is the other way. This is when I love it. Look at him go.
Oh,
I love it. This reminds you of Joe Staley. Like this is what Greg Roman used to do with Joe Staley is have him as the backside tackle, pull and lead around. Like look at him go. Look at him go. This kid can get out and straight run. Like this kid can move. He can get out and run. Great movement skills. Here he is. You're going to see on another screen. He can get out here, find a guy, then finish the block.
Yeah.
I love watching these guys finish blocks. Here come lead the way up in here. Love it. Play with an edge. Get out there and move. Here, another wide receiver screen. So he's going to work out. Look him turn back, get the edge. It's great movement skills, great feet. He's got really good feet, really quick feet. That's something that stands out. You know, as I talked about with the 49ers and how they want those guys, their steps, quick feet is a really big thing. He's going to pull around this, lead up in the hole on a linebacker. Here he comes. Bang. And finishes the block. Here he is. Bang, 39. Oh, pancake. Let's get some sausage with that pancakes. All right. Here you're going to see they're supposed to get a pin and pull on this. And on this, Denzel Boston is supposed to come down and block this edge, and he doesn't get it. And so he's got to end up blocking the edge. But watch how he drives this guy. Oh, man. He drives into the sideline and finishes the block.
I missed
Here
him.
he is, 50. This is not even his guy. He's supposed to go get somebody else.
Oh.
And so, love it. Okay, here we are. He's going to have another pin and pull. So they're going to crack, and he's going to pull and get out here. He goes, look at him run. Oh, throwing his body into it. The movement. I love the movement skills. He's fast. All right, this is one of my favorites. Pin and pull here. He's going to get up. Oh, look at him block. Look at him block. Oh, they blocked the dude into the sideline marker. Look at this. That reminds you like Juwan Jennings blocking a guy into the Gatorade. When you're blocking guys into the sideline, I love it. It gets me excited. I'm like, okay, we got something here. Okay, but now the question is, why is he not going to be a tackle? There goes my other page of notes. Number one reason, he has a horrible kick step. Horrible kick step. He just doesn't have the hips for it. Okay, it's a physical deficiency. He can't learn it. It is his hips are too tight to have a good kick step. His arms are too short. Okay, we're going to see this. Here's this kick step. I know this is hard for some people, for a lot of us to see, but I'm going to try and slow this down and show you what I mean. He doesn't have the hip flexion. Okay, what do I mean by that? Look at his angle of his leg. His leg is coming straight back. He has not opened his hip up to the outside. Look at the right tackle. His leg is much more at a different angle because he's opening up his leg and he's able to reach back with that leg. Look at the foot angle. This guy's foot is outside. His is pointed straight. That means it's going to reduce the ability for you to gain depth and square off against this guy. So that puts him at a constant disadvantage against these guys. It causes his shoulders to get high because he has to try and lunge back so far that it leaves him susceptible to some speed to power rushes. So he just does not have the hips to be an NFL tackle. It's not something he can work at. It is simply a physical deficiency, and you can see he doesn't get out there in time, and he's beat with a speed rush. This is a thing that shows up over and over and every single time. He just does not have the hips to play tackle. So this is why they say projected as a guard, maybe a center, because he's got even shorter arms than maybe they like at guard, but I think they're going to be okay with that. I think they project him as an interior offensive lineman that could be guard or center. That's what I think. I don't think they've shoehorned him into he's going to be center in 2 years. I think they're looking at it that this is a kid who could be, but we could also play him at guard. And so I think he's going to be an immediate guard. So here you're going to see him again. The kick step is just not there. He's not able to deal with speed rushers the way that you would want to see. He would get killed by these guys at the second level playing tackle. So even if you say, okay, can he be somebody who can then kick out to tackle if need be? No, this is purely an interior offensive lineman. He does not have that kick step. Again, watch the shoulders here. Watch him lunge up. Oh, you see those arms flail back and the shoulders rise. That tells you how much he's struggling to get out there. Look at him compared to the right tackle. Okay, that is just him struggling to get out there with that kick step. So, and now I like the way he blocks. He blocks with heart. He blocks with a lot of effort, but he just doesn't have an NFL kick step. Here, one thing you do like is that even with the shock from not having a kick step is that he can still anchor. So he's got a good base. There it shows again the susceptibility to. I got to find where I am on the notes here. Susceptibility to those speed rushers here. Though you can see he gets pressed vertical. They're going to try and go speed to power. Watch his base and his ability to anchor. He gets shocked initially because he just can't get out there in time, but he's still able to absorb it. So that's what you do like. Here, we're going to see him. He gets where he has some troubles is when he gets out over his feet a little bit. When he tries to play too far forward, you can see some issues where he gives pressures. Here, we'll see him again, a good anchor from the speed to power. That tells you he has the lower body power to play into your offensive line. When you can take that shock to your upper chest and still be able to recover and balance, that tells me, okay, I can, because I mean, this is the guy's completely got this on speed to power and he moves him, but then he recovers. Great strong base, great core strength is what it tells you. Really good core strength, and he's able to anchor. So that tells me why he projects better as an interior offensive lineman versus a tackle, because that's always a question. What is it about them that makes him a guard versus a tackle? It's the hip. The hip problems say he can't be a tackle, but the good strong base, the great movement skills, all of that starts to say, okay, now we can have you be an NFL guard. Okay, so now we're going to see a compilation of. I got to get my notes ready to cross off here because I got a compilation of wide zones. So this is scheme fit stuff. So they're going to run wide zone to the offense's right. And just look at him on the takeoff angle. I love the takeoff angle. That is what the 49ers do. Like, that is exactly what we just showed on all this tape, right? Come across here, get your head on the other side, cut this guy off. Man, That looks good. Okay. So now we got wide zone to his side, to the left. Okay. He's going to come out here, watch him work this, fly up to the second level, go kick that linebacker out, move him off the ball. Man, that's awesome. We're going to run wide zone to the offense's right. So same thing, cut this backside off, work to the second level. Look at him help. Oh, look at the help he gave. This is a guy running down the line. Here he is. He's going to run down this. Bang. Blow up this guy. Bury him, then go look for work. Love it. Okay, wide zone again, running away from him. Can you cut this guy off? Can he work backside? Look at him drive. Finish the block. Look at him keep going. Keep going. He's still blocking. This kid looks for work. He hunts for work. I love it. All right, wide zone to the left now. So they're coming to his side. Can he kick this out? Look at him work this defensive edge out. So you want to say, can you move this guy out here? When they get out here, can you wash him? Can you wash him? He's just driving this guy towards the sideline, opens up a big hole for his running back, who then can make a guy miss in the hole. Man, that gets you excited about Christian McCaffrey. You say, can your guy move people like him? Oh, just toss that dude with his inside arm. That's what they want. They want that inside arm coming inside. They don't like you to wrap. Okay, now you're going wide zone to the left. Here he is getting on the second level. Look at him block and finish. There he is. Sheesh. Love it.
You have to show my Bruins like that?
Yes, I had to show your Bruins like that.
Can we cool it? Can we cool it?
All right, so here we're going to go wide zone left. Here he is coming out on this side. More against the Bruins. Look at him just open up that gap, extend that edge. There he goes. Bang. Man, he moves with speed and violence and then finishes the block. I love it. All right. We're going wide zone right, coming this way. So here he is, backside. Look at him fly up to the second level. Get one block. Go get another block. All right, wide zone left. Kick out the edge. Look at that inside arm strength and then push and extend the edge. All right, there's the next page of notes. We're done. We're down to 2 pages of notes left. All right, wide zone left. Here we go. Bang. Kick that out there. The ability to move. This guy, when you watch him, he looks like these 49ers on all the teach tape I showed. That's why I spent so much time going over it. That looks like the 49ers, right? That looks like a 49ers offensive lineman. That looks like what they do. All right, wide zone right. He's got to come back, cut off on the backside. Look at him fly down the line. Open that up. Wash that thing down. Here he is.
Man, he ends up way on the other.
All right, wide zone right again. So they're coming this way. He's got to cut this guy off. Cut off this 3 technique. That's a tough block. Man, look at it. Oh, yeah. He gets it around and then he finishes.
Gosh,
I know they threw a little RPO, but I don't really care. Like, because those other guys don't know. Like, that defensive lineman does not know that ball is thrown. All right, wide zone right, and he doesn't know that ball is thrown. Man, look at him drive his dude off the ball.
Second and third level.
Like, he is driving this dude off the ball.
To where the safety was.
Yeah. He's firing out at these angles, driving guys off the ball. Bang.
Ugh. Yeah, from that angle looks cooler.
All right. We're going wide zone left. Now this is another option play, but again, these guys don't know that. For them, they're all blocking it out the same. Driving the dude. Again, that defensive tackle does not know that this is an option play. In his mind, this play is a run this side. So watch how he blocks this dude. They both don't know that play is not where the running back is.
Yeah.
Drives the dude off the ball. Okay, wide zone left. They're coming this way. He's got to work out all these things. Oh, my gosh. Just tosses the dude to the ground.
Get over here.
Wide zone right. He's got to cut this backside guy off. That looks like 49ers, right?
Yeah.
Plants the dude. Here he is. He's got to cut this guy off. 91.
Gosh.
Open up a huge cutback lane. Wide zone left. So now he's got to work it wide. Just toss that dude. He's got a strong inside arm. And then plant the dude. Love it.
He's turning his hips okay in that regard.
Well, this is more about quick feet. It's about strong hands. It's about good, about movement skills. I mean,
yeah.
This, you don't need those really flexible, groin and hips. So again, watch him cut this off on the backside.
Oof.
He stayed engaged. That's not a hold. He never grabbed. So this wide zone right or toss, whatever. Anyways, look at him go. Go. Look at him go. Look at him go. Okay. Just think about this. Where he starts is here. Where he plants his dude is over here. That is him. Golly. Over up here. Can go get to the second level. Watch this block. God. This is going to get out here and get up on 21. Look at him go. Look at him go. Look at him go. Get the block. Drive your man. Keep blocking. Keep blocking. Oh!
Yeah, the motor.
That should get everybody excited. That should get everybody excited about
chat
this.
Is getting excited. Tracy says, geez. Kalador says, loving the motor on this kid. Invader says, Willis next to Williams is going to be epic. It's all good.
All right. So now we're going to see some inside zone. This is what the 49ers like to do. Oh, man. He cuts it off in there. Gets a good one. Here he is. Left side. Look him go get to the second level. Love the way this kid climbs to the second level. Here he is. Backside. Work it. I already showed these plays. What happened in here? Oh, I thought I said I. There we go. I have 13 clips on here. That's why it's 13 different segments. So it's a little hard to figure out where everything is. Okay, here, come down, work inside zone. Again, great angle. That's what the 49ers want to do. Here he is, work his man out, widen that gap out there. Spring your guy for a touchdown. Man, please give that kind of room to Christian McCaffrey. Okay, work this little combo on the inside. Seal your man off. Get your guy a big gain. Here, come down on this. Little inside zone. Work the line of scrimmage. Here he is. Plant your guy. Oh, love it. Here he is. Work your guy down the field. Keep blocking. Keep blocking. Here he is. Look at the effort. Watch the effort. Watch the block. Man, this kid's feisty. All right. Here we are. Look at him take off at an angle. Bang. Man, get to that second level. Climb to the second level in a hurry. Work the edge. Look at him plant the guy. Look at him pull the guy down. He wants to get guys on the ground. Look at him seal off the backside. Throw this guy to the ground. He plays with an edge and a violence. And then he goes and gets somebody else.
Yeah.
This dude is a phenomenal run blocker. Phenomenal run blocker.
Look at him plant that
guy. Oh my God.
He's a Niner.
So like this linebacker tries to fly, gets a running start on him. He absorbs the impact and then watch him plant the dude. I could see why somebody would pound the table for this kid.
Yeah.
mean, bang, there it is. Then,
Ooh,
no.
He absorbed that first hit, but then brought his own.
Then brought his own pain to the game. All right.
Yeah, because he's a Niner.
So now I know the question everyone's gonna have. Okay, can he run blocking is great and all, but can he pass protect? Can he play center? Can he deal with some of this stuff? Yeah, he does in a lot of instances. Okay. So here, one thing I loved about this reminds you kind of Dominic Puni, who Dominic Puni had the wherewithal to go hunt for work. Here, his guy backs out. He's going to turn and hunt for work. Watch what he does to this blitzer coming off this side. That's awesome. Okay, so here he's got to come down on a 4-eye. So this is defensive tackle. This is the kind of pass pro sets you're going to expect him to see against bigger guys. I love it. He's got a really strong, good base, good knee bend, good angle, core strength. His hands are in a good position, and he's able to shadow. Keeps his feet moving. He locks up. I really like his base on that. Okay, when teams try and send these little twists in here and stunts, can he deal with that? They're going to bring it. Nope, he passes it off and goes and gets the guy. Again, good, strong base, good hand placement. Now, he does have a little bit shorter arms, so that does create some problems in there, but I love it. You're going to see the same thing here when they bring these things. He's able to anchor, bang, shadow, anchor, get plays of the nastiness in there when they come with the twists. Can you pass these things off? He sure does. Boom. Good anchor. Good hand placement. There it is. Lock your man up. So he does show a lot of potential in those ways and can show that he can play guard well at the NFL level. And there's a lot to like about this kid. So when you really think about who this guy is, that the value they get him for in the 4th round could be potential for what you would expect from a 2nd or 3rd round guard, pure guard. But he's got all the movement skills, the feet, the hands, the base to play in the 49ers system. And people will criticize that sometimes and say, well, then their system needs to change because it hasn't been good enough. They haven't won the Super Bowl. I get that. I'm not arguing pros or cons of that. I am arguing, though, of that why do the 49ers seem to value it less than other people? Because sometimes there's guys that have all the traits that you need for your offensive line and the approach you have that has been, again, a top 10 offense in 6 of the last 7 years. And so you say there are guys that have all of the traits that we need who will be there in the 4th round, who will be there in the 5th round. They have limitations, but those limitations don't matter to us because of the way we play, the scheme that we play. I will say, again, people will hammer them for this. The way that they go about building their offensive line does, from an organizational philosophy, make sense. Not every team has that. Now, I've also been one that has said several times, Kyle, please fix the offensive line because I don't like it when you have to be predictable. When you're in a situation where you're down by 3 points against the Rams in the NFC Championship game and you have to pass the ball and your tackles are turning into turnstiles and your interior offensive line can't block anybody. And I don't like it when you're in the Super Bowl and you're facing the Chiefs and they seem to be getting pressure all across the board on you because you don't have the guys who can stand in there and hold up for just 0.2 seconds longer. So I understand both sides of it, but it is hard to argue that would you trade Dejon Stribling, Romello Height for one of the guards in this draft for how much they will move the needle for the 49ers. And when you look at the game against the Seahawks and you say there's issues there of just that they were mauling us or manhandling us, there's a lot of execution errors in there. Then you can say, okay, maybe this is a guy who can help us move the needle because he's a little more nimble than Spencer Burford, that was one of Spencer Burford's problems the entire time he was with the 49ers. Got his hat too high, couldn't run an angle enough, get moving fast enough. So they say this is a guy that I do think that he can come in and he can be, and I think those quicker feet will help him against interior defensive tackles more. and be able to hold up a little more. Spencer Burford had a really slow feet in pass pro. So I say this guy's got faster feet than Burford. He's faster than Burford. I like his base better than Burford. I like the way he finishes blocks better than Burford. In a lot of ways, I feel like you could already say that there's an upgrade there at left guard over what we've had from which is Carver Willis.
Yeah, this is the reason why we love having you guys support and hang out on this channel because of this stuff, the whys and the hows, the film
I've totally
study.
missed everything in the chat. So if you said anything, I'm sorry. I will say I did start this back in there. Randy had asked Johnny, will it be good enough versus the Rams and the Hawks? I hope that all of this has answered that question
Yeah.
of some of the things that were problems and things going forward. So in that way, really hope that illuminated a lot of stuff. I know it was a dense episode and it was a lot to get through, but I felt like it was necessary and something that we've needed to address for a while of why the 49ers do what they do with the offensive line.
Well, and what I was going to say, Johnny, is this is one of these episodes that you're going to want to pin and watch again later, especially with more Niner fans when it comes up in conversation regarding philosophy. You know, one of my favorite videos is when you talked about Brock Purdy for MVP and you started by showing some of his mistakes early on. I talk about that video a lot because it truly is my favorite. This will be a lot of people's favorite right here, the way that the philosophy was shown, and then you break down Carver Willis and why he works, what he does well, what he doesn't do so well, but why that fits in what we do. So this is a reason why you have to take your phone and show it to Niner fans and say, "Hey, look at this channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell." Now,
So
Johnny,
I do want to address this because
yeah,
so the counterpoint to this, the last hero, is you can say it's time to change the philosophy and emulate a team like the Patriots of the 2010s. I say yes and no because so why was that Patriot? Why were the Patriots so good for so long? When you go back to the drafts that the Patriots did, like Bill Belichick was a trade back guy. Like he was constantly trading back. And
yeah,
people always sat there and they said, how is it that in the third and fourth and fifth rounds, they can continually find guys that are productive? That they can plug in at corner, that they can plug in at safety, that they can plug in at linebacker, that they can plug in at right guard and get high production from. And it was because Belichick said we have a system and a philosophy and an approach that we have, and we draft for our system. We are not drafting just the best overall around all around player that we can and then trying to figure out what we do with them later.
right.
They had an approach with the Patriots of this is what we want our guys to do. And then we're going to draft guys that fit a system and a scheme to do that. When you go back to that 2010s Patriots, they also they got Wes Welker as what he was an undrafted free agent. Like they didn't draft wide receiver really high, but they said we don't need a guy who's going to be a blazer down the field. We don't need a guy who's going to be a 6'3" X. We don't need a guy who's going to then have to do all these run blocking things that we're going to ask. We're going to ask a guy to go get in the slot as a super twitchy, short area quickness guy. And no teams
Edelman.
are going to be able to match it. And so they approached a philosophy and they valued different areas. But Wes Welker, had 1,000-yard seasons, right? And because he fit that system. Just because somebody takes that approach and they get somebody in later rounds doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be a really productive player. It's just it is a little bit different ways of going about it, but it starts with how you get there. With what the 2010 Patriots did is you say we have a vision of what we want to be, and then we will put together players that fit that vision. And right, wrong, or indifferent, that is the approach that the 49ers have taken. So we can say, well, they've got to change that up. But the way that they've gone about this is the way that when you look at good teams, when Bill Walsh was drafting offensive linemen, he was not looking for big maulers. Everybody in the NFL was looking for big maulers. It was gap scheme. It was guys who could pass protect when they were there. And Bill Walsh said, I think I can build an offensive line of guys who can get out and move and stress the defense differently. And so it was constantly toss right, toss left, toss right, toss left, right? Like almost working off the old Lombardi sweep. And then they were going to move the launch point. They were going to have those sprint option plays where Joe Montana with his mobility was getting out and running. And so they were forcing defenses to do things that they were not built to do. And so when you look at the 49ers offensive line philosophy, it has generally been, we're going to try and build an offensive line that is geared towards forcing defensive lines to do what they're not good at and forcing them to try and play themselves out of the play. And we want everything to look the same. And so it's a very similar approach to what Bill Walsh had. Jesse Sapolu was not a high drafted guy.
No.
And when we had him on the show, he's like 12th round, 11th round, something like that. So, but he fit what they wanted to do. He was highly athletic, could get out there and move. And it was actually a thing. People were writing about how, the Bill Walsh 49ers were a team that emphasized mobility and quickness over size and strength. And they were so effective in that way. I remember that was actually a criticism of Harbaugh's 49ers, is that they weren't a really productive offense. And people were saying during that time that they have emphasized too much on size and maulers, and they struggled in pass protection. They struggled at times. Like I remember going back, and I was watching a lot of Frank Gore tape because I'm trying to work on a Frank Gore project. And I think our perceptions of that offensive line don't match reality, because we perceive that offensive line as just a really, really great offensive line. They were a good offensive line. They invested 2 first-round picks in that offensive line. Mike Upati was not a great pass protector. He just wasn't. He wasn't with the Seahawks when he went there. Anthony Davis was an okay tackle. Like he was a good tackle for his time, but like he wasn't perfect. There's a lot of plays I'm watching. Like Anthony Davis and he had been talked about that Greg Roman was really hard on him. That he had a lot of bitterness at Greg Roman because Greg Roman had told him he could find somebody working in a supermarket who does what he does. And Anthony Davis was a first round pick, and then he retired, right? So like the way that they have gone about this, it does have there is some merit to it. My thing with it is like I can understand like it hasn't gotten you over the hump. And I get that. And I get the frustration. We're all frustrated by that. And I have been frustrated by it at times. Like, please protect Brock Purdy. But I've also then sometimes look back at it and I go, the best way to protect Brock Purdy is get him some really good weapons that he can dump the ball off to, that can get first downs. And when I look at that Seahawks game, I think, man, I wish we could just dump the ball off to a Dejon Stribling here and him go get 40 yards. Like that would help them more than anything.
Well, and running the ball, I think, so that you have 3rd and 3, I think is a huge help to Brock Purdy as well. And when it's 2nd and 10 and 3rd and 10, not so bueno. Question. I keep forgetting, dude, that this Monday is a holiday. Are you around?
Yeah. Well, I won't be able to go this Monday, even though it's a holiday. My wife is actually out of town with our 2 girls, but I got my son here. Plus, I also need some more time to get through the Ephesians Prysock tape. As you can see, I've been working through a mountain of tape since the draft.
Hey, good enough excuse for me.
So,
because I want to see that film.
And I've been watching Ephesians Prysock.
He's like 6'3" or something.
Yeah, he's 6'3". What's fascinating is that I just wonder if he's not gonna end up playing some slot there. I wonder what this means for the future of Upton Stout, because at the Senior Bowl he played some slot. At Washington he played some slot. He fits that big, like if you go back to Raheem Morris, who did he have in the slot with LA? He had Jalen Ramsey. Big guy.
Yeah.
Big bodied guy as the apex. When you look at who is Seattle using right now in that apex, they're using Nick Eamon-Warry, big guy. So I like Upton. I like Upton Stout a lot.
Yeah.
But I start wondering, was Ephesians Prysock not brought in not to be an outside guy, but to be that big slot apex defender kind of guy, to battle these multiple tight ends? We wondered why they didn't take a safety. And remember, one guy I talked about at safety was VJ Payne, a big safety, 6'3".
Yeah.
And I was talking about needing that big kind of slot, big nickel slot kind of guy. I just wonder if that's not going to be the vision there with Ephesians Price Lock. Now, with that, corner tape is really hard to watch. It's just hard to watch. There's so many plays that are nothings, just
Yeah.
nothings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been a slog. I'm having a hard time keeping my focus with it because there's so little action, and just
I get
gliding
it.
through tape. So the
Well,
Ephesian Price Lock tape is taking a little bit longer.
we'll have that conversation then a week from today. Thanks for hanging out, faithful, today. Um, have maybe by then an exciting announcement about upcoming season that even Johnny doesn't know. We'll see for sure. But in the meantime, in between time, you need to stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.